I'd like to give you a little peek behind the scenes on the making of these YouTube videos. The first step for me is always research, which is basically bopping around the internet, reading a bunch of news, scanning social media even, unfortunately, reading up on whatever new scientific studies have been posted to see what catches my eye. And during that stage, before I find something I really want to dig into, I often have something playing in my headphones in the background. And usually it's music, but sometimes it's YouTube videos. I watch a lot of Majority Report with Sam Seder and Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman. And so sometimes the algorithm suggests similar progressive content that I click on, or I just kind of let it autoplay, which sometimes works really well. That's how I discovered Lance from The Surfs, who's great. And, I went on his live stream recently. You can find a link to that in the transcript if you'd like to see it. But a few months ago, one of the recommendations was a creator who was criticizing Elon Musk, and he suggested that people check out a channel called Thunderfoot to enjoy more anti-Elon commentary. And that struck a bell with me. I know that name. How could I not know that name? Because Thunderfoot, aka Phil Mason, spent years harassing me and other feminists, most notably Anita Sarkeesian, about a decade ago. At the time, I didn't have a chance to double check who that creator was, but recently it happened again, and I was able to make a note. It was Kyle Kulinski, who hosts the Secular Talk YouTube channel, and otherwise seemed fairly progressive to me. So I left a comment letting him know, but it's been a few weeks, no reply, which fair enough. I do not see every comment on my videos, let alone respond to them. But over the weeks, I became curious about what Thunderfoot has been up to. And what I found was so interesting to me, at least, that I figured I'd sit down and tell you guys about it. But first, in the interest of full disclosure, allow me to give you a very brief history. I first became acquainted with Thunderfoot in the late 2000s when he was posting almost exclusively videos of him debunking creationists. A lot of those videos focused on another YouTuber named VenomFangX, who was completely unhinged. And honestly, it was kind of fun seeing him get wrecked. Thunderfoot's style was definitely not for everyone, but he had, at the time, a huge audience on YouTube to the point where I actually suggested that he be invited to a large conference in London in 2009 that my friends were organizing, but they declined. Wisely, in retrospect, because within a few years, Thunderfoot pivoted from dunking on creationists to dunking on feminists, either because he genuinely hated us or because he saw other atheist YouTubers like The Amazing Atheist making tons of money off of men's rights activists and incels who hate women and just want to watch somebody score points on them. He made several videos about me personally, even putting my cute little face on the thumbnails. He called feminists like me liars. He said that we were poisoning atheism by doing things like pointing out that we were getting a lot of really misogynistic hate from fellow atheists, i.e. Thunderfoot's own audience. He was also very critical of a group of Indian feminists who urged society to teach men not to rape, to stop blaming victims and trying to teach victims how to avoid being raped. His response to that was to blame victims harder, something I found so repellent that I finally decided to make a video about him. This was before I did full transcripts for my videos, so even though I hate watching myself on video, yes, post-production is brutal for me, I decided to watch it today to refresh my memory, and I am not ashamed to admit that I laughed really hard at my own decade-old jokes, like, seriously, I cooked. By far the best weapon you have to fight against a stronger, more powerful adversary is psychology. Point in question, the simple wasp. The wasp is typically a factor of a millionth smaller than a man or a woman, and yet they manage to effectively discourage people from attacking them. Women are typically only 10% smaller than their male counterparts, and for those who find this a little too cryptic, people know that a wasp will fight to defend itself. That's its self-defense mechanism, and that fact alone will discourage most attackers. This is 100% true. I am at least 1,000,000 times bigger than a wasp, and those are terrifying. So this is just great advice, ladies. If you are confronted with a potential rapist, You should channel your inner wasp. That potential rapist should not know whether you're just buzzing around for a bit before taking off or whether you're about to stab him to death with something popping out of your butt. Who knows? And, because 80 to 85% of all rapes are done by acquaintances, you should channel that inner wasp literally all the time. And this should probably have no social consequences for you at all. Just a couple of months ago, I was at a party outside and there was a wasp there. And everybody was like, oh my God, who invited this wasp? What a great idea that was. And, the wasp just went from group to group, making lifelong friends. And at no point did anyone try to rape that wasp. Not even the guy who ended up going to the hospital in anaphylactic shock. Phil moves on to another analogy to prove that he's speaking from experience when telling women how not to get raped. I know what many of you'll be saying, oh, that's easy for you to dob out such advice. You've never been in such a situation. Well, actually, I have, all alone in the very late evening in a mountain pass with no one around for miles. I faced a predator, a mountain lion with a cub that was stalking me. I played the game for real stakes. Had I given off the body language of the victim, of the prey, there is a very real possibility that I wouldn't be here making this video. That's right, a mountain lion tried to rape Thunderfoot. At that point, Thunderfoot's fans were already brigading every video I posted, telling me that I deserved to be raped regardless of what I was wearing, calling me a cunt, and just mostly demonstrating a complete lack of any kind of critical thinking or acknowledgement of a sense of humor. For as much vitriol as Thunderfoot directed at me, it paled in comparison to what he directed at Anita Sarkeesian, who had committed the cardinal sin of producing a series of high production value videos about how video games deal with gender and misogyny. Thunderfoot was obsessed with Anita to the point where he even appeared in a documentary that a couple of incels made about her. Anyway, that's about when I just kind of blocked Thunderfoot and forgot about him. I assumed at this point he would still be hustling in the anti-woman space because it seems to me these days that's still a winner in the YouTube algorithm game. But clearly I was wrong. Over on Shitter, someone let me know that Thunderfoot has stopped harassing women because someone died. A comment that obviously required way more context as I had no idea what they were talking about. Luckily, they came through. It turns out back in 2017, a man named Alexander Kolpakov shot and killed his girlfriend, Heather Honorable, apparently while on mushrooms. The couple had previously hosted a YouTube channel called The Skeptic Feminist, which I had never heard of before, but obviously because of the name, Thunderfoot's fellow anti-woman skeptic commentators like Sargon of Akkad hopped on a live stream to joke about it.
Well, a feminist got triggered.
Yeah. For the final time. For the last time.
Not too soon, crowd. As I said before, like too soon is literally 5 seconds before it happens. That's when it's too soon.
So as well. But I want to say, can I praise the shooter really quick?
This, at last, was a bridge too far for Thunderfoot, who could joke about men threatening to rape and murder me to the point where I had to get the FBI involved and hire private security to come to my talks. But joking about the murder of a woman he did not previously hate was off limits. So he took to YouTube to lambast them.
So I've seen it time and time again that a movement starts. It starts to get momentum, pick up popularity. And folks hijack that movement and inject their narratives and ideology into it, and thereby render the whole thing impotent with their toxicity. It happened with Occupy Wall Street and the social justice warriors, and it happened with atheism and feminism.
Oh, but obviously he had to start that video by whining about me and a random joke I made at a conference several years prior, poking fun at the childish way misogynists view feminists.
And usually there's some defining moment, one where you actually just look at the whole thing and realize this movement is dead. You show anyone who's not immersed in this community, in that bubble, and ask them what they think about it, and they'll just say it's completely crazy. Now, for atheism and feminism, that movement came from me by one of the most respected atheist conventions of the time. And what do they spend their time doing? And I kid you not, making angry vaginas. And that's the point where you step back and you simply have to be honest that a group that spends its time making angry vaginas is never going to achieve anything of worth. Now, with each of these trends, I've just sat here in the middle, unmoved by all this populist bullshit, because I'm an old guy. I've been around. I've seen it again and again. It's not so much that Grandpa's not hip enough to get with it. It's just that I've seen it all before. Now, for me and the anti-social justice warrior movement in the skeptic community, it all started off well. Hell, I should know. I was one of the first people there.
Because that's a normal way to criticize your peers for being misogynists. So, yeah, I guess Thunderfoot left skepticism at that point because obviously he thought that hating women was skepticism, which, okay, I can see why he would think that way. But it was important that he left while making sure that everyone knows he still hates some women like me and, of course, Anita Sarkeesian, in case you were worried. With so many people telling me that Thunderfoot had officially changed his ways after that incident, like this extremely committed Thunderfoot fan over on Blue Sky, I decided to go ahead and take a look at Thunderfoot's channel. Surely he must be embarrassed by the spittle-flecked misogynistic rants that he did back in the day, which is why supposed progressives today are recommending him to their own audiences. But, oh, hold on, what's this? His channel features a few playlists, one of which is Feminism versus Facts, right there on his channel's main page, featuring me, Anita Sarkeesian, of course. And is that Beyonce? Okay. And wow, one of mine has more than 2 million views. I wouldn't even know how much money that would make, but Google's AI says it was maybe like $4,000. Man, I really fucked up by not jumping on that woman-hating train, huh? Do you think 2 million people would watch a YouTube video about how much I hate myself? Man, I really should have taken advantage of that depressive period I went through last year when my birth control implant went on the fritz. Now I love myself again. Stupid self-esteem. Okay, so Thunderfoot isn't exactly hiding how much he used to hate and obsess over women online, but still people assured me that his new and improved content criticizing Elon Musk is top tier. So I thought it was only fair to take a look at that and judge it on its own merits. I decided to check out his latest live stream in which he live reacted to a SpaceX launch. Here's a little taster of that.
So, boom, boom. And you're guaranteed if you had the, bit of a lean on that. Okay. Oh, right at sunrise. Nice timing. And the sound, that's an awfully red flame. That's an awfully red flame. Maybe it's just their cameras. Yeah, maybe. So previously the flame looked more transparent. Usually the redder the flame, the more soot particulates you've got in it. The liquid oxygen is significantly lower than the... Yeah, liquid oxygen's... Oh, what the hell's going on here? Their liquid oxygen's like 10% lower than their methane. Or maybe it was like that. If you take a look at the upper stage, they're short on the liquid oxygen as well. Okay. So, what are we in? We're a minute 20 in. Okay, all engines going. A little bit of a flicker there. So this is mostly just going high at the moment. You know, the altitude, I think it's 25 kilometers is there, or is it 20? No, it's 40 kilometers, 25 miles. There we go. I'm not so sure I like the greenish hues. This doesn't look right. It didn't look like that last time, but it's awfully symmetric. Maybe it's good. But it didn't look like that last time. It might be that their cameras are different, right? So these things, they're flames, so they can put off quite a lot of ultraviolet. So depending on whether your cameras are actually sensitive to that sort of thing. And what are we at? 49. I thought things staged at like 40 kilometers. Okay, well, I don't greatly keep up to speed with the details of this. You know, the important thing is that this is not a very sensible way of actually getting to the moon. Well, congratulations on landing the booster. Works, I guess. Yeah. Oh, and finally, they're actually cheering at something that's not blowing up. Good on you, boys. Yeah, your mind's blown. So, what have we actually? Right, the next real deal.
Okay, so I understand, or I was told at some point, that Thunderfoot is a working scientist. I think he's a chemist. There's a very good chance he's talented at whatever job it is that he does. I don't know, but he is quite clearly not a physicist or an engineer or a person who knows how to turn the audio on a live stream so that he can hear an engineer or physicist explain to him what is happening. This is so fucking embarrassing. I would like to report this video to YouTube for glorifying self-harm because this level of cringe is beyond most people's ability to continue living. Now, as you all know, if you've been on this channel for a minute, I think Elon Musk is a stupid asshole. I think SpaceX is a complicated problem in that there are obviously many talented people working there doing really fascinating things, but ultimately we cannot and should not leave space exploration to the private sector for many, many reasons. I am very open to criticism of Elon Musk and SpaceX, but this is not it. Illustrating just how embarrassing Thunderfoot's coverage of SpaceX is, here's a video I found from fellow YouTuber Timmy Toyna, who, unlike Thunderfoot and me, to be fair, appears to actually know what's happening.
And we have cooling down the engines.
Looking at Thunderfoot's shitter feed, it appears to now be almost exclusively about Elon Musk, except for when he takes a quick break to do things like shame a victim of the LA fires for not installing a roof sprinkler system and $100 pump backed up with a $100 generator and a gallon of gas. At which he wonders, am I missing something? Yeah, Phil, you are missing something. Again, I'm not an expert in this area, but I do live in a high wildfire risk zone, so I know that roof sprinklers do occasionally work to protect homes, but not in 100-mile-per-hour winds that blow the water away before it can hit and soak the roof, and not when your neighbors' homes are also on fire, and not when you don't have enough water to draw to keep the sprinklers running for at least 8 hours, either through the municipal system, at which point you're draining water that firefighters might be able to use to better effect elsewhere, or through a tank that you previously sunk into your yard. You see, this is just stuff I've picked up from living in a high wildfire risk zone. I'm not just some jackass who can't be bothered to Google before shitting out misinformation online. The fact that Thunderfoot could be so wrong, even about something as easy to be right on as why Elon Musk is terrible, really made me stop and reconsider some things. During my research for this video, I stumbled across an H-Bomber Guy video that I had never seen before, in which he hilariously destroys Thunderfoot for an extremely sad rant he made about a trailer for the Kristen Wiig Ghostbusters movie in 2016. And he includes this clip, which probably comes from the very same time that I thought Thunderfoot was enjoyable to watch.
Is it impossible? Is it an absolute impossibility for God to exist?
There is, when you say, is it impossible? It is a malformed question.
Can you unask that question, please? This is why atheism doesn't look credible to so many people, because when asked a really straight-up question, the answer is, the question is wrong. Oh, God. I mean, no, sorry, I can't say that, because there isn't one. About 36 minutes into the video, Thunderfoot declares victory and tries to run away, presumably in the hopes that he can edit the video enough to make it look like he really did win. Instead, he just settled on calling him a card over and over, which, as we know, is basically proof that you're right. Hovind stops him by asking perhaps the easiest question a human has ever been asked.
Is everybody's reasoning valid?
Oh, I can see the cogs turning. Is everybody's reasoning valid? What's his answer gonna be?
We are humans. We have the same genome. Everyone here has more or less the same genome.
He waffles for like a straight minute about how humans have brains. I mean, that's almost an answer to the question. A better answer would be no, but his was good too. I guess I just don't have the quick thinking skills he does.
Even when he's right, this guy's bad at arguing. I'm beginning to have some sympathy for creationism, he's so bad.
Even when he's right, this guy's bad at arguing. Yeah, that's like 10 years old, and it's still correct. I knew Thunderfoot was a grifter thanks to him jumping on the anti-woman money train, but I didn't realize how incompetent he was, regardless of the topic he chose. I mean, I knew he was ignorant, but again, I ignorantly assumed that was just about women because look at him. Sorry, that sounded meaner than I meant. I just mean, look at the face he shows online, his online record. I don't know anything about his personal life, but if he has been anywhere near a woman, it probably wasn't because the woman wanted to be there. So it made sense to me that he didn't, or perhaps couldn't, understand anything about women's lived experiences. But no, it turns out he's really just that ignorant about every topic he blindly attacks. And I knew he was obsessive, but again, I thought that was just because obsessively hating me and Anita Sarkeesian was making guys a lot of money back then. But after doing all of this research and feeling a little bit dirty about it, if I'm honest, I see a pattern. First, Thunderfoot was obsessively and, in retrospect, ignorantly hating Venom Fang X and Eric Hovind. And then it was me and Anita Sarkeesian. And now it's Elon Musk. Sometimes I might agree with the target, but when I objectively looked at his arguments, it's just sad. He doesn't argue from a place of knowledge or critical thinking, but from a place of wanting to look like he's smarter and better than whoever he has chosen to be his opponent du jour. Because of that, his substantial audience is never going to learn how to critically evaluate and dismantle bad arguments. They're only learning how to yell louder than the other person, how to fake it until enough people assume that you must be in the right. Just sitting around waiting for the other guy's rocket ship to blow up so you can take a big sip of coffee or morning beer and smirk and pretend that you did something. I started this video annoyed that progressives are telling their big audiences to go patronize a man who spent years harassing me, a man who I find morally repugnant. And while I do still hold on to that annoyance and that disgust, more than those things, I now just feel this overwhelming pity. When we first met, we were both edgy atheists in our 20s, maybe he was in his 30s, laughing about creationists. I had no idea that hating creationists was just his entire personality. And when it was time to do something else, he made his entire personality hating another type of person. And now he's moved on from that. It's time to make his entire personality about hating a new person, singularly focused at all costs with no context and with not even a passing interest in what's true or what's not true. The only way to do something like that for more than 10 years now is to live a life completely devoid of joy and curiosity and love. It's all just so sad. I genuinely hope that one day Thunderfoot is able to step back and look at the work he's produced and see that this behavior is not healthy. And I hope he learns to find some sense of balance in his life. And until then, I hope that people stop promoting him as some bastion of critical thinking. But also, I do have to admit, I laughed really hard at that guy dunking on him.
It's done for, right? Debris field guaranteed. It's over. Yeah. It's gone. Send in the clowns. Yeah, bring back the clowns. Come on, boys. Morons! You absolute morons! And they're going to say what a great success it was. It's so Orwellian.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.